In the 1962 war, Chinese has fired and put in 16 bullets in my chest. They may have defeated the Indian army at that time, all right, but they could not defeat my willpower to survive and my willpower to fight and fight again.
It was a war that India wished never happened. India was a tender 15 years old when it was humiliatingly crushed by a far more focused, far more relentless enemy, China. The 1962 Indo-China war saw a month-long standoff between approximately 10,000 to 20,000 Indian troops and 80,000 Chinese troops. Barely a year into service, Second Lieutenant Onkar Nath Dubey was sent to fight in the Battle of Namka Chu, which was the Indian Army's worst defeat in the border conflict. The territorial dispute between China and India in the Namka Chu area revolved around Thagla Ridge that lied on the north side of the valley. 28 years later, retired Major Onkar Nath Dubey, who survived 16 Chinese bullets, recounts the horrors of this battle.
The experience of Battle of Namka Chu and fall of Tawang. This was first battle I had fought at a very young age, and I was full of life, strength and stamina. I had killed very many Chinese before I was shot, and whole valley was full of dead bodies, and my company had a strength of 70 people. Out of 70 people, we 3 have survived. Only 3 had survived, rest were killed, and we had also killed very many Chinese, approximately 200-250 dead bodies of Chinese and 67 my own strength, because 3 had survived and we were taken prisoner, and all the dead bodies were buried in graveyard built separately for Chinese soldier, their own soldier, and for Indian soldier. And there was another point of cruelty on part of Chinese, that anybody who was halfway death, he was again shot dead, because to carry a casualty you require 4 people to carry the stretcher, and every 4 hours there has to be a change, and that is how to carry one casualty there was a manpower required 24. It was a great drain on manpower which Chinese could never afford, and they used to kill the people and bury them, anybody who was halfway death.
Till date, 78-year-old retired Major Onkar Nath Dubey, who was held as a prisoner of war, has vivid memories of what transpired over the next 3 months at the Marmang camp near Lhasa in Tibet.
I was picked up because when they lifted me, thrown into the graveyard, one Chinese talked to them. He says, casualty is the officer. There are star on her shoulder. Then they searched my pocket and everything. They cut the identity card also. And there were 2 discs, metal discs, with my number written on that. So they collected me and taken across the river Namka Chu and put into a camp called Marmang camp. Marmang camp to reach, it took 3 days because there is no road. It was a march on foot. The 3rd day, that is 23rd, I was in a camp where prisoners were put together in a dilapidated house which was abandoned by Tibetans. Chinese treated Indian soldiers very badly, very roughly, and with cruelty. There was no humanity, there was no human value, there was no longing for a soldier. A soldier who is wounded, he is international property. He is an international man. He is to be given treatment as per charter signed by all the countries which are member of Security Council. But Chinese at that time, even today, they have not signed international charter on security for soldiers.
While retired Major Onkar Nath Dubey was a POW, doctors of the International Red Cross operated on him, saving his life, and they removed 15 bullets from his body. Unfortunately, one bullet stayed lodged in his body, which was taken out by the Indian Army doctors only upon his return in January 1963.
I was shot with an automatic rifle by Chinese, and 16 bullets were there lodged in my right chest, and I fell on the ground. There was much less bleeding because of the height. Blood got coagulated, and life-saving surgery could be only given, and that was very poor quality. When I was taken back in their camp after 3 days march, camp was known as Marbang camp. Marbang camp had Tibetan doctors and Tibetan medicine, because Chinese, they had very poor medical cover. A bandage which was used on my wound, it used to be boiled, dried, and again used. That shows the poor quality of medical cover Chinese had extended to wounded soldier of Indian Army. Even their side was also equally poor in medical cover, because I had survived because of International Red Cross. When American Red Cross, International Red Cross took over, then my condition improved. My first operation and second operation was done there. First operation was done by Chinese and Tibetan local doctors. Second operation was done by International Red Cross American doctor. Despite the fact the American doctor have put in his best, there was one bullet left in my tummy, which I carried for 3 months. And when I came back to India, then it was a big challenge to Indian doctors in base hospital, Delhi. And there was a surgeon, Major Bosch. He used to say, if Chinese have made you survive, we will make you fighting fit again. And my last bullet was removed in base hospital, Delhi.
After having survived 16 Chinese bullets, Major Onkar Nath Dubey went on to also fight in the 1965 and 1971 war against Pakistan.
The Chinese war was an eye-opener for Indian Army, and whatever we could not do with China, we did with Pakistan Army. Army to army fight was very fierce, but anybody who was wounded, he was treated like common patient of both the country.
With tensions rising with China at the line of actual control, the question that one may have for this war veteran is India prepared to take on the Chinese army again, or will it be a repeat of the 1962 war?
India, as on today, ground forces, naval forces and air force, all three combined together can handle China and Pakistan both simultaneously. What we need is more training, vigorous training, more coordination and international support.
Asianet Newsable salutes retired Major Onkar Nath Dubey.